pit, 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 clink, is the sound of corks at my feet as we step from the starboard lift on deck 5. It would have been much quicker for us to glide down from deck 17, but a little rude given the company we're in. Victor walks a few paces ahead, his footfall silent as we cross the bridge that connects the ship's central section to his starboard. "I can't wait to see this panel that you've all been working on," I say with a bemused smile. "I can't wait to see the first one. I'm still not exactly sure what a winged hussar is, but seeing to Qual imagined as one sounds interesting," says my life mate. I wouldn't base your image of the winged hussars on our work, Quarry. We went for style over accuracy. There weren't any mertbeasts knocking around Central Europe for 'em to make mounts out of," smirks Victor over his shoulder, managing not to break pace or course, despite the several seconds his unidirectional eyes are not aimed forward. We draw up on the balcony of Triple M, and hear the clatter and whir of improvements being made to the decks below us. Since the 84% positive vote came back on our ballot regarding whether to take the ODR's contract, the crews have been working in non-stop, with the guidance of the Bright Plume's own engineering team, to reinforce the requisite number of dorms. It's a good thing that privacy fields exist, or the works would be denying sleep to nearly half the ship. Around 5% of my crew gave their notice, accepted their severance pay, and have either already departed the ship, or are taking the offer to be conveyed forward before deboarding. It was a bit of a blow. It's no one that the ship can't run without a replacement for, but it still feels like losing 15 friends. The inhabitants of starboard dorms 0 to 4 all accepted reassignments to dorms on portside or starboard dorms 6 to 17. I offered them a small stipend each for the inconvenience, and, as best I could, accommodated all mutual requests from crew members who wished to be placed in the same dorms as each other. I think at the start of my career, I'd likely have just told the computer to send reassignment notices and then deal with any complaints as they came. We draw close to the common room door. Victor indicates it to open and says, "They're here, guys." There's a flurry of activity from a portion of the room still occluded from view. After a few moments, Victor seems to be satisfied that the preparations are made and steps over the threshold. The Triple M's are all, bar Fluffy, who's still at the university, arranged around what they have designated as their mural wall. Triple M Art Gallery is proud to present its second collaborative work, under lead artist Messiah Mason Berry. You've wondered and marvelled at our previous work, The Hussar. Now... Victor pauses his showman affectation here, and I'm in cork to ogle the panel depicting me, wearing armour and sat astride Fluffy in our battle charge. Messiah and Brunhilde are stood to the right of that panel, holding up a cloth which presumably covers the next entry in this gallery of theirs. Now, without further ado, we are proud to present... Victor raises his upturned palms towards the sheets suspended between his doormate's hands, and flicks them down, signaling Messiah and Brunhilde to release both sides of the cover in perfect coordination. Pride! The mural depicts a savanna scene, with seemingly every kind of animal you might find in that biome, their faces turned towards a monolithic landform, acting as a podium. I stand on this rock platform, facing the host of animals. My legs strike a power pose, my wings are raised above my head, holding to Cac in almost the posture that I named her, post-hatching, only she's not facing me. Rather, she also faces the multitude of animals. Behind me stands a smiling Victor, his copper hair imagined more than octuple in volume, when compared with reality, involving the bottom of his chin and splitting down his chest in a thick mane. Beside him stands a smiling Quark, reimagined with noticeably feminine Terran characteristics. It's beautiful, everyone, but... I scrutinized the painting a few seconds more. I can't help feeling as if this might be a cultural reference that's missing my beak. Victor's face breaks into a broad, tooth-bearing grin that will never cease to give me a small jolt of terror, as something buried deep in my instinct screams, "He's about to eat you! Fly away!" I said you probably ain't seen this one. I'm so glad I was right. Toons converted it to 350 FPS in preparation for us to show it to you. You both up for a movie night? I narrow my biological eyes. How long is this film you want to show us, Victor? Many Terrans have the ability to maintain unflinching concentration for hours at a time, meaning that, if you're not careful, you can get roped into movie marathons that last 12 hours. About an hour and a half, not that long. By our standards, he smirks. I cock a brow tuft and answer, "It's just one, right?" He nods. There's sequels, but they ain't quite as good. We only have the original ready to show you guys. Alright, I tentatively accept your proposed movie night, I say. Quark, will you be saying? Quark still seems a little lost in the murals, but eventually answers, Yes, I think. I'd like to understand the reference of this painting. Great, cries Victor, clapping his hands together once in satisfaction. We'll start getting everything ready. Brunhilde frowns. Is Takak going to be okay on her own? I chuckle. She isn't on her own. Twila is very kindly babysitting her for us, gesturing at Twila's holographically projected form. Twila nods and summons a live picture feed of my daughter, snuggling into her new Merbeast plushie, a gift from my chief custodial officer. Every Triple M lets out an adoring, ah. Robotic appendages enter the view, and, synchronized with her holographic arms gesture, I've got a decanter of crop milk for if she wakes up. She has a plushie tucked into the incubator with her. She's fast asleep, and if she wakes up and I don't know what to do, I can alert her parents immediately. Isn't she just the cutest? Wiggling her fists in front of her chest, and her mechanical appendages in front of the camera feed, in a gesture that seems to indicate that she's having trouble restraining her reaction to all the cute. I turn to Toon. Before we start this film, may I have a private word with you, Toon? She looks alarmed, saying, Me? Sure. Would my room be okay? I nod, and she leads the way. Victor looks as if he would like to follow, but seems to decide that he either trusts me, trusts her, or trusts both of us enough not to impose himself into this. She leads me to her room and says, I just need to tidy up a bit. Do you mind waiting a moment? Her cheeks flush, noticeably purple. Ignoring her obvious embarrassment, I gesture for her to go ahead, and she disappears into the room. I wait outside the door for a few minutes. My understanding is that Victor has mostly moved into this room as well, sharing the living space with Toon. The same is true for Jenny with Brunhilde and Hazuka with Krish, though in those cases their rooms could be reappropriated for new Triple M's. In Victor's case, he has maintained his claim on his old room, it becoming a den for Fluffy and the host of the nearly nightly Cuddle Puddles. The now 5 spare rooms will be filled by Emiko Miyazaki, Miss Hunter, Lieutenant Loper, and 2 more who are yet to be determined. I wonder if Dr. Zimbet Kaz will wish to share a dorm with her brother. I've still not heard whether she actually will be joining us, from anyone. She probably hasn't decided yet, understandably. It seems as if she has a life on this planet, and is aware of the hurt that might be caused by her decision to leave for a minimum of 2 years, having been left by both parents at age 4, one of whom never returned, from what Wing Commander Zaipanoi Zumberi told me, and then watching her brother leave as well as an adult. I won't say anything to Messiah until I'm certain she's coming. I don't want to divulge her secrets or play with Messiah's hopes. Toon re-emerges and gestures me inside, still with that worried look on her face. She sits on her bed and I climb on her desk chair, which she has arranged to face her current position. So, what's this about, Captain? Are we no longer needed? That's it, isn't it? You don't need someone on a mission to a sapient Deathward who's so... In irritation, I raise a wing claw and the start of her gibbering self-doubt ceases. Dear girl, you must value yourself more. I just gave you a raise, weeks ago. Why would I have done that if I was considering letting you go so soon afterward? I say with a calm but firm tone of voice. She turns her worried eyes down and to the left. Maybe you changed your mind. Maybe you only gave me the raise so it wasn't obvious you were going to sack me. Maybe you weren't planning to, but giving me the raise made you realize I wasn't worth it. Unimpressed, I answer, yes, dear girl, and maybe the Titans tears apart the side of the ship and skewers me on her spear. You can't live your life in maybes, Toon. Why don't you listen first, then make a decision about whether what I say is worth panicking about? Choking back her panic and forcing herself calm, she nods. I begin. Emiko Miyazaki has transmitted over a route suggestion. Her route has a few possible planets where we might make our stops to meet personnel hired from elsewhere in Terran space. One of these planets caught my eye. Nova Phrenoscandia is your homeworld, correct? My question, Toon, is, would you like us to stop on your planet for a few days before we pass into Garden Border territory? Clearly blindsided, she takes a moment to respond before answering, Really? I'd love that. I felt sort of guilty for being the only one to have that opportunity. No one else's homeworlds are on that list? I shake my head. Not that I could see, no. I'll lock in Nova Phrenoscandia as to stop then. Shall I? She nods enthusiastically, smiling. Excellent. Now, shall we rejoin the others? I say, making to leave. She throws out a hand in my direction, indicating she wishes me to stay. I stop and turn to her, brow upraised. That's really it? You're really okay with me? I smile. More than okay, dear girl. I'm thrilled to have you aboard my ship. Your self-doubt is the one thing about you that I would say needs work. Shall we go? She smiles and we return to the common room. Victor is immediately at Toon's side, looking up into her luminous eyes with a concerned expression. All good? Better than good. I'll tell you later, she smiles, bending to kiss him. No more is said about that, as Twiller indicates a perch facing the viewing wall that is large enough for me and Quark to share. Once we have climbed up, I notice that everyone else is still stood, and I squint, quizzically, at the Triple M's, who are stood at the side of the space that is about to become our view screen. Show and persona readopted, Victor starts. Tonight's opening number will be given by a live performance, backed by the original score sans lyrics. A man of many talents, Messiah Mason Berry, will be on lead vocals with the rest composing the chorus. Immediately, my wing shoots up. Victor, if you're all planning to sing, perhaps just check that the privacy field is engaged? He raises his finger, opens his mouth, screws up his eyes, and pauses a moment before saying, Good shout, Cap. I'm running over to the control panel, sheepishly engaging the privacy field. Without further ado, he says, indicating Twiller to start playing the film and melting into the chorus, stood behind Messiah. The film starts with a blood-red sun, creating the pitch-black horizon as Messiah cries out with passion and volume I had not imagined him capable of, given his usual placidity, in a language my translator informs me is called isiZulu, which he apparently speaks. Here comes a lion, father. Followed by the chorus behind him, in beautiful harmony, who seem not to be speakers of isiZulu, but to have learned it by rote. Cynthia Migonyama. Messiah repeats this initial line as animals of the savannah are shown raising their heads towards the rising sun. Spectacularly vibrant landscapes, though clearly animated by trichromatic humans, causing me to adjust my main spectrum, mechanical eye to feed me data matching red, green, blue trichromy, rather than my normal maroon, red, green, teal, blue pentachromy, are shown as Messiah sings at startling volume, backed by Victor, Toon, Brunhilde, Jenny, Krish, Hasegar, and Twiller. At 25 seconds in, Messiah stops, followed by 25 seconds of the others' untranslated harmony, repeating, getting a little more insistent each time, as the screen shows animals moving across these terrains towards I know not yet what, though, based on the painting. When Messiah sings again, he has switched into Victor's native tongue, which he also seems to be fluent in. The others continue to back him in incomprehensible isiZulu. The lyrics are hopeful and vivacious as we continue to watch the animals on their journey. Having recently flown over the savannah, en route to Naipio's dinner, I can confidently say that the absolute weight of numbers present is not adequately conveyed, though the variety does seem to be based only on my intuition. Great elephants are shown in low angle to convey their sheer scale. They really do look like grey, four-legged shonuso. After around 1.5 minutes, we are finally shown the presumable goal of these animals, the rock, the one that looks as if it could not be a natural landform, the one I was stood atop in the mural. A blue bird flies towards it, and the camera follows, revealing a powerfully built lion with a thick red mane. Clearly this is the inspiration for Victor's depiction. The bird alights before the lion, in a way I'm sure no bird, absent a death wish ever would, and bows deeply in respect. The lion scowls sternly back for a moment before a smile breaks over his face, and he returns a regal nod. An aged simian is shown parting the crowd and climbing the rock before embracing the powerful lion as if old friends. The simian is clearly the inspiration for me. I'm not insulted by that, or I'm trying not to be. The lion and simian then approach, presumably the lion's mate and cub, the inspiration for Quark's and Takak's characterizations respectfully, I think. And Messiah's lead vocals are paused again for a tender scene, where the simian breaks a gourd and smears the contents across the cub's forehead, before sprinkling dust on him, causing him to sneeze. I wonder if this is a real birth ritual from one of the Terran cultures. I don't remember coming across it in my studies of them. The chorus chant. Inyoman negu enamrabala. Almost inaudibly at first, but grows steadily louder, as Victor passes Messiah something he keeps concealed behind his back while striding forward, matching the forward motion of the simian carrying the cub. There is a brief moment I believe that the cub is about to be cast from the rock to its death, Terrans are fond of whiplash-inducing tone shifts. I think that would be too much, even for them. My horror is disconfirmed as both Messiah and the Simian raise their arms above their heads, the Simian with the cub, Messiah with a nanoforged copy of Ichthyon's plushie. Twiller takes over the vocals, matching the pitch-perfect high intensity that Messiah had. The animals cry out, trumpet and screech in celebration, and we are shown a rotating shot of the cub looking down at them. This looks hand-drawn. Someone had to imagine every frame of that rotation, then transfer that to a drawing. That's endlessly artistic Terrans for you. The clouds part, and the beam of light illuminates the cub held aloft by the Simian. Twiller adjusts the common room's lighting to achieve the same effect. The animals bow in a sweeping pan shot, followed by a shot of the whole scene zooming out, then a percussive thum to indicate the title card. Twiller pauses the film there. All of the Triple M's are out of breath from their singing and dancing. I begin clapping my wings together to mimic Terran applause, and Quark follows my example, a little bemused. Victor takes a seat on the couch beside me, and I ask, how much rehearsal was required for that little number? Still slightly out of breath, he raises his thumb and index finger, a centimetre apart, and says, a bit. I smirk. I'm clearly not working all of you hard enough if you have all this time to practice song numbers and paint murals. His face falls as he starts, Cap, it's... My Winclaw shoots up. A joke, Victor. Take the joke. He smiles. So, there are no humans in this story at all? It's an alternate world in which only your uplifts exist in their own architectural society? I ask quizzically. He frowns contemplatively. No, not uplifts. This was made 2 centuries or so before the first species we uplifted. They're just animals, imagined a bit more human-like. I'm surprised, but I suppose it makes sense that humans would imagine all those possible friends they can make, long before they had the capacity to actually make those friends. So, how many more interactive song numbers are we going to be treated to? I smirk. Victor shakes his head and raises a single finger. Just that one. My rendition of Be Prepared was nixed because it was apparently too frightening. You fucking kidding? Can you believe that? I nod. Yes, I can easily imagine being frightened by your singing. In fact, it's happened on multiple occasions. He laughs. Well, interjects Twiller, if everyone's comfortable, shall I unpause? 1 film viewing later. I walk with Quark back to our quarters. I was so shocked when the uncle killed the father. I laugh. You wouldn't be if you had watched more than about 5 Terran films. That character was too good, too kind, too competent, and too much a deuterologist. If he'd not died, there would have been no story. I found it very funny when the protagonist and his friends were discussing the nature of stars, and the stupid one was the only one who was right. Then the others mocked him. Quark nods. That was hilarious. Maybe we should watch some more Terran films. That was very entertaining. I smile. If you can stomach being around Victor's Mergbeast when she returns, I'm sure they'll be happy to indulge you in an endless number of viewings, Sweet Fruit. Though I don't know how often they'll be willing to rehearse song numbers for us. He ponders that as we re-enter our quarters. Thank you very much for giving us the night off, Twiller, I whisper to Twiller's sensor array between the robotic appendages she's been using to tend to Cuck. She whispers back, You're welcome, Captain. I really enjoyed watching the film with you guys. I'll give you guys some privacy. Let me know any time you want me to look after Takaki. I'll enjoy both the data streams from looking after her and hanging out with you guys. Win-win as far as I'm concerned. I smile and she vacates the simple droid she's been inhabiting. Do you want to use the bathroom first? I ask Quark. Thank you, my Okra. I'll be out in 10. He disappears into our shed en suite, and I go to Takak, sleeping in her incubator. I reach out my left opposable wing claw and, ever so gently, trace it across her forehead. Sleep well, my little lion.